Welcome back everybody to another video from EICMA 2025. In my opinion, the biggest and best motorcycle show in the world. And today we're at Cardo for a look at this, the new Beyond helmet, which is a massive leap in their product lineup. And it could be a game changer on the motorcycle helmet market. So in this video, we'll go through all of the details with everything that you need to know about it. Now, the first thing to just mention with this new Cardo Beyond is that there'll actually be two different products, one called the GTS, which is this one you can see behind me, or there's also going to be a GT model. Now, the GTS is the more premium of the two. It's got a carbon shell, for example, to help with keeping the weight to a minimum. It also gets more of the techie features, but of course, if you want to perhaps go in at a slightly lower price point, then you can go for the GT with its fiberglass shell. Now, behind me, you'll actually see a couple of wind chambers, if you will, for people to come and try out this helmet. And so they've got a full selection of sizes up on the wall there for people to demo. And actually, they've gone with 4 shell sizes, I believe, to give you the maximum levels of comfort and safety. You'll tend to find on cheaper helmets there might be just, 2 or 3 shell sizes, but with this there's one for the extra small, there's one for the small and medium lids, there's one for the large, and then you've got a 4th for the XL and the double XL. Now, as for the specific fit, they say it's an intermediate oval, and they've gone with that particular shape in order to give it a wide range of compatibility, let's say, with different shapes of head. Now, like I say, we'll get onto the incredible tech that I think makes this helmet a unique proposition. But also they said they've tried to build as well just a very, very good lid, including all of the regular mechanical parts. And so here we can see a bit of an exploded view of some of the features here, like the venting. So it's got a big chin vent and then also a large vent on the top for really good airflow, but also an exhaust vent at the back, which helps to suck the air through. On top of that, you'll also see the new Pinlock 200 compatible visor. I believe this was also very recently announced, but the idea with Pinlock 200 is it's evolved, it's upgraded, and so it should stay clear, they say, for 200 seconds as opposed to the 120, I believe, of the current Pinlock. Tim's the gear expert, so I'm just asking him for the extra details there, but definitely combined with the vents and this Pinlock 200, it should give you a lot of options in terms of keeping mist in to a minimum. Now, here you can see some of the foam that they've used inside the helmet as well. Of course, as well as the tech, regular mechanical safety is massively important as well, so that's really been optimized. And this lid is ECE and DOT approved, so that's super reassuring, of course, and I think, the bare minimum for a lot of people considering a new helmet. On top of that, we've got a view of the different padding as well, so of course it's removable. You can see there's a nice chin curtain there too. And they say that they've designed all of this to be antimicrobial, to keep, bacteria to a minimum. Sweat wicking as well, so as well as being able to cool yourself down with the vents, it should also draw sweat away from the skin. And I think almost most importantly is washable. If you're investing in a, premium helmet like this, you want to make sure that you can keep it fresh and that it's got a long lifespan. And so, yeah, you can take these out, stick them in the wash and make sure that it doesn't get all stinky. And Tim's just reminding me, when we were having a briefing on this helmet yesterday, they also told us that this specific padding has been designed to optimize the audio too. It's a really important part of this lid. And so, of course, that's a consideration in terms of how it absorbs sound. Here, though, my friends, is I think where this helmet gets really interesting and exciting. So we'll spend a lot of time talking about all of this tech, which is embedded and, integrated into this particular helmet. So first things first, it's worth saying that it has their PackTalk Pro, which is their flagship communications device, remodeled and re-engineered to fit seamlessly inside the Beyond helmet. That means you're getting the best of the best in terms of their mesh communications. So it's their mesh boost, which allows you to pair up to 31 riders in a group. And you can also see a small ceramic square on the top here, which is actually a ceramic antenna. And they say that this is one of the factors that's helped to boost range on this communications device up to 2 kilometers, which is right up there with the market leaders. Then you can see all the buttons have been laid out differently. It's interesting to hear them talk about the fact fact that with a communications device, you've got to really cluster all the different buttons and switches and dials together. But with this, you've got a lot more real estate, as well as both sides of the helmet. And so they've gone for a very intuitive and easy to use button layout. Plus, you've got all of the great features from the Pack Talk Pro, like voice commands and stuff like that. And that includes their crash detection feature, which, if you set a contact in the Cardo app, will alert them if it detects that it thinks you've had a spill. So great safety features, great comms, and really shows the best of what Cardo do in terms of communications units. Now, one of the other very impressive features on this lid is the new health monitoring system, which basically has a chip inside that means it can give you feedback as to whether it's time to replace your helmet. Now, of course, most helmet manufacturers tell you that if you drop it, it's going to damage the protective foam inside, and that means realistically, well, in order for them to be confident that your helmet's still safe, you'll have to replace it, which of course is very costly and almost heartbreaking. If you buy a brand new expensive lid, drop it quite early doors, and then you're kind of thinking, well, should I replace it or should I risk it? This, though, well, it'll give you more specific feedback on that. And I think, of course, you're going to pay a little more than average for a helmet like this. So really, it's just great to know if you can keep hold of it, if you can be confident with it, or if it is time to have it swapped. Another brilliant safety feature in this lid is the active brake light, which you'll see up on the back there. It's similar to a product that we've used in the past, which is the brake-free brake light, which you can stick to the back of most helmets. But of course, that adds a little bit of extra bulk. It's not as cleanly integrated, whereas here you see a very similar concept that lights up. Flashes brighter when you're decelerating, and it's just a huge boost, I would say, if you're concerned about, you know, in those dark conditions where you're stopping at junctions, you're concerned that someone might hit you from behind. We did a road trip, didn't we, Tim, with the brake-free light, and I think at the beginning of the trip, both you and James thought maybe it was a gimmick or it looked a little bit daft. Certainly the stuck on brake-free anyway. But as the trip wore on, it became kind of obvious that it was really handy for two reasons. Number one, it's more in, you know, the rider behind you's line of sight, because typically they're looking higher than down at your brake light. But also because they work on deceleration, it means that even if you're just engine braking, there's still a clear signal to the rider behind that you are actually slowing down or coming to a stop. So great to see it here, and it's one of the cleanest integrations that I think I've seen of this kind of idea. But look, let's cut to the chase. The biggest, most interesting, most exciting feature of the new Cardo Beyond is the ANC, or active noise cancellation. Basically, this works by monitoring the sound around the back of the speakers, around the kind of ear pockets, and then basically it plays in opposing frequencies that cancel out, hopefully, the majority of the sound. They say it reduces sound by 18 decibels, and that's exactly what this guy here is testing out in their wind chamber, where you can go in and switch it on and switch it off and see what it feels like, see the difference. It's the tech that we're all used to in headphones, in AirPods and stuff like that. But I tried it out here yesterday, and it really impressed me for a couple of reasons. One is that, you know, putting AirPods in when you're putting a motorcycle helmet on can be really uncomfortable. They can fall on the floor when you take your lid off. But this just feels like wearing a normal motorcycle helmet, super comfortable. But when you get in the booth there and they switch the wind on, you just hit the ANC button and it has that beautiful noise reduction that takes a lot of the intense, blustery, aggressive frequencies out and leaves you with a much more comfortable experience. The other thing, though, that really occurred to me is they did have it paired with a phone and playing some music, and it really hits those mid frequencies and higher treble frequencies. That means you get so much more clarity from the music itself, because a lot of the stuff that is normally going on behind it is just cancelled out. It means basically you don't have to turn your music right up. You can have it on a moderate, you know, volume and still hear it quite clearly. And that's as opposed to, I suppose, if you wear earplugs, where yes, it helps to bring down the wind noise, but then you have to crank your music up really high to hear it, and so you're kind of not really doing your hearing any favors there. I think this is a brilliant bit of tech. Really enjoyed trying it out, and I can't wait to try it out actually on the road on some of those long motorway rides where the wind noise can become a really fatiguing factor. So yeah, some brilliant features in this helmet, but also some really nice conveniences too. like, one of the things you can see with all the electronics laid out over there is a proximity sensor in the top of the helmet. So it'll sit in the top there, and that means that it automatically turns on and off because it can detect whether there's a head inside the helmet, I guess. So that's a great feature if you basically don't want to run your battery flat, I think. You know, it's handy for it to switch on when you put the lid on without having to press a button. You'll never forget to switch it on, I suppose. But more so, I think, if you take it off and go for a coffee or you finish your ride and you're back home, it'll know to switch off, and that means you're not going to drain it. I should say, though, I think it's the GTS, it's a 2,000 milliamp hour battery. It's a 1,000 in the GT. And they say, I think it will give you 13-ish hours of runtime in either helmet. The reason being, the GTS has the brake light, and that actually, you know, putting out a significant amount of light takes up that double battery capacity. So you get the same runtime in each, it's just that the GTS gets the larger battery capacity. Now, speaking of those batteries, you can see on this helmet behind me that it's actually just at the bottom of the back of the helmet there, and you can actually clip those out and swap them, which is really useful for a number of reasons, I suppose. The main one, I think, is the convenience of not having to charge the whole helmet. So if the battery's flat, it means you can swap it out and still ride and still make use of all those brilliant smart features, whilst maybe putting your other battery on charge or sticking it in your bag to charge when you get back home. So very convenient in that regard. But they also say, naturally, all batteries do have a shelf life. They expect people to wear these helmets for a long time. And so if you did ever maybe drop the battery or lose it or damage it, or if it just started to become less effective, then of course you can swap the battery, and there's no need to have any particularly complex work done to achieve that. In fact, this approach as well applies to the technology. Some of the modules are replaceable, so if they do come up with new tech in the future, they've effectively future-proofed your helmet, so you can get new modules hopefully without having to replace the whole product. And also it helps to make it more easily serviceable. You can send off things for repair. And even on the software side as well, it gets over-the-air updates, which means that new software features that come out are just easy to send to the helmet from your phone, I guess, from the Cardo app. In fact, one of the good examples they gave of when you might want to use that is with the front LEDs. So, of course, you've got the brake light on the back, but actually just inside the visor there, down at the bottom, you've got a couple of other small LEDs, and they're used at the moment as status lights. So if you press a button to change mode or switch the ANC off, you get this little flash at the bottom of your field of view with different colors as well, and so it kind of confirms or reassures you that the button you've just hit has taken effect. What they did say, though, is they hope in future for this to be integrated with navigation apps, so that perhaps the left or the right LED might flash along with prompts on the dash or on the phone as well, in order to give you a really clear indicator that you need to make a turn. So that could be something that you'll see as a software update somewhere later down the line. So look, let's talk a little bit about the price and availability. They're saying it's just under $1,200 for the GTS, or the same in euros. There's no UK price as of yet, but I'd expect it to be pretty similar. And while that is a substantial fee, to say the least, for a helmet, I think it's also worth considering that this is a fully featured, high quality lid. And so you're looking at, for a touring helmet like a showy GTR 3 or something of that caliber, at least £500. And then if you did fit the Pack Talk Pro on top of that, plus the brake light and the indicators inside and some of the other features like the way it monitors the health of the helmet, you know, if you stacked up individual products to achieve all of that, you'd be easily close to, if not surpassing, the total fee for this particular helmet. So yeah, it won't be something that everybody can afford, but I think it's also worth considering how much it can do before you make a judgment, let's say, on whether it's worth that asking price. Now, I believe they'll be ready middle of next year. Hopefully we'll get one a little bit earlier in order to get out and review it. Both myself and Tim tried it in the old wind chamber over there, and we're pretty impressed. But I think it's fair to say, mate, isn't it, that the proof will be in the pudding, and the pudding is the riding. And so hopefully we'll get out on the road and do a proper evaluation. In the meantime, though, I'd just love to know what you think of this particular product. We don't normally cover accessories and gear and stuff like that at Eichmann, because I know you love seeing the bikes. But this is just such a potential game changer that I thought we had to include it here in this year's content. We'll put our full playlist of all of our videos on the screen here. So if you want to catch up with all the bikes that we're covering and stay up to date, then definitely check that out. If you're not subscribed as well, hit subscribe down below so that you get all of the videos as soon as they get published. A massive thanks for watching this one. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you very shortly in our next video.